Okay, everyone, we have a quorum, and we're going to begin.
Okay, just as a reminder, if you have not had an opportunity to sign in yet, we would ask our board members to please be sure to sign in. So welcome to everyone this evening. It is February 27th, time for our Community Board General Meeting here for the month of February. We will begin our meeting tonight, as we do with all of our meetings, with the Pledge of Allegiance. May I ask you to please stand? Our flag is here in the corner. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Our first order of business is an adoption of the agenda. Do we have someone? We have first. Yes. Two Dans. Dan to the second power. Got it. Okay. All in favor? Thank you. Next, we need to have an adoption of our minutes. I have a motion here and seconded. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And now we will begin our public session. We want to once again stress that there is a 2-minute rule in order to save time. We so appreciate that our board members gave us their feedback that they would like to be in here in person this evening and that we were able to achieve a quorum. But we want to also be respectful of the changing weather and we want to respect Mother Nature and get our meeting moving along. So we thank you for that. For our public session this evening, thank you. Yes. So we want to acknowledge from Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis' office. Lori Windsor is here with us tonight. Thank you, Lori. And we are happy to welcome Council Member Justin Brannan. Please come. I think you might have a few words to say. Thank you so much.
I love this bar. I'll take a screwdriver. Hi, everybody. Councilman Justin Brannan here. It's good to see everybody. This is really what dedication to the community is all about. The fact that we've got a snowstorm, well, not a snowstorm, hopefully not a snowstorm, but snow coming and you guys are all here is really great. And to everyone who's at home staying cozy and warm, good luck. So, no, thank you all for coming out tonight. It's February already. The year is moving very quickly. We're about to get into preliminary budget negotiations at City Hall. A couple of things locally. We've had a bunch of great news recently. We got a new express ferry that's going to run from the 69th Street Pier to Wall Street, Lower Manhattan. It's going to get you there in about 20 minutes. There's no other way to get from Bay Ridge to Manhattan in 20 minutes that I'm aware of, unless you have a helicopter or something. So that's a big deal. We're also announcing that we're about to site school number 5, which is going to be a high school. But even though we've got needs to fill the overwhelming demand for new school seats, there's still a community process that happens. And then the SCA will come to the community board to talk to you about that, make sure that the community obviously is involved in the visioning of what that high school is going to look like. But it's going to be the first high school in Bay Ridge in 80 years. So it's a really big deal. And folks have been asking for a new high school for a very long time. So we were excited to make this happen. As always, my office, this time of year, we offer free tax preparation for folks if they need help with that. We have the CUNY immigration team that's there once a week in my office as well. I'm on 82nd and 3rd. You know where I am. You know how to get me. Also, obviously, want to acknowledge we just had 30 years since the World Trade Center bombing back in 1993. It's crazy that it's been 30 years already. And we obviously acknowledge everyone that we lost and the first responders there that keep us safe every day. I'll be here in the back with you guys too. So thank you all so much, and let's keep it moving.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we wish to welcome from New York State Assemblyman Lester Chang's office, Vito Labella is here. Welcome, Vito. Did you want to have a moment to speak? Yes, you did hear about our 2-minute rule. Thank you. Thank you.
I talk too much?
Thank you.
You must know me. So, yes, my name is Vito Labella. I'm working for Assembly Member Lester Chang. We're in the process of getting the offices up and running, as is the case with most of the newly elected officials. It's a process. So we do have temporary offices. One is on 61st Street between 8th Avenue and Fort Hamilton Parkway. And let me just give you the telephone number that you could reach me. So that number is, take my glasses off to read, is 718-540-8681. I'll leave a couple of cards up by the door. And you can reach all of us at labellav@newyorkstateassembly.gov. And again, thank you all for coming out. Like Justin said, it shows dedication to all of us. So thank you again.
Thank you, Vito. Thank you. And next, we wish to welcome Jessica Callow from Borough President Reynoso's office. Welcome. Hi. Thank you. You could spread out on the whole table.
I like this. It's nice. Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica. I'm from BP Reynoso's office. Just want to say hello and remind everyone that the community board applications season closed. So, if you newly applied to our board, you should have received an email from me talking about interviews. If you haven't, please reach out to me. Other than that, I wanted to say hello to everyone. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes. Correct. Unless you have really bad attendance, then you're going to be receiving an interview from me too. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And next, from Representative Dan Goldman's office, we wish to welcome Lynn Jia-Yi. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Lynn Jia-Yi. I'm here on behalf of Congressmember Dan Goldman, who just left to Washington, D.C. this afternoon. As always, his duty is to be Washington, D.C. either from Monday to Thursday night or Tuesday to Friday. So unfortunately, he's usually not able to attend. And I'm here as his extension. And we as a new office, we just, at last meeting in January when I was here, our office was not set up, and our physical office was not yet open. So now our Brooklyn office is open. It's at 340 9th Street, just up on Arching in Park Slope. And then our office number is 718-312-7575. And we offer all the services that are related to federal agencies. While you could get free tax preparation and also immigration legal consultation at Councilmember Brennan's office, but if you need to talk to these agencies to follow up on your case, to follow up your tax return, please contact us, and we'll do that for you. And then a quick update about the Congress member's activity. He's on the House Committee on Homeland Security, and then the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. On Homeland Security, Homeland Security takes care of national security, immigration, and then he's working. His goal is he's working to hope to bring immigration reform, comprehensive immigration reform, to make more common sense immigration laws, and also to improve the situation on the border. And an Oversight and Accountability Committee, he will be responsible for providing critical transparency to the American people, to hold the back actors accountable in Congress, to defend democracy and freedom. Do I run out of my time? Okay. All right. And then just, to wrap up the night, please feel free to contact us for any service related to federal agency. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, from DA Eric Gonzalez's office, please welcome Nancy Lulu.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. I bring greetings on behalf of DA Gonzalez to everyone. I'd like to extend my condolences to the family and loved ones of YGU, and our thoughts are with everyone that was impacted 2 weeks ago with the U-Haul truck driver. Keeping the people of Brooklyn safe is DA Gonzalez's highest priority. I also would like to thank the 68 precinct and the NYPD for their efforts on that day. I also would like to share on a lighter note that the DA's office will be having a paid 1-week internship in April through the spring break for high school students. Students must meet their requirements on the flyer, so it's a paid internship. And please, if you have any children, have them take advantage of this internships. The flyer is on the table. And as always, if there's a matter you would like to address with our office, to call the Action Center at 718-250-2340. And as always, thank you to Community Board 10 for everything that you do and for allowing me to speak this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, from Council Member Alexa Avalos' office, please welcome Rob Aguilar.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Aguilar from Councilmember Alexa Aviles' office. We have a quick couple of updates, but first, I would also like to thank you all for being here and weathering this cold weather and the snow that just started. These meetings are extremely important because of this meetings here, our office became aware of an issue that was happening on 61st Street between 8th Avenue and 12th Avenue. If you are familiar with that corridor, there is a lot of illegal dumping that takes place along that corridor. So because of residents bringing that to our attention, we relied on our connections to the different agencies in the city and put pressure on the Department of Sanitation to clean up that area. So I was there last Friday morning, and that area now is clean compared to what it was a few months ago. And it's not perfect yet, but it is a big improvement. So again, the importance of coming to these meetings, of being our eyes and ears out there. If we or our offices are not made aware of these different issues and concerns, we can't address them. So I want to go and run down a few events that we have coming up, and I put some flyers over at one of the tables in the back. We're hosting a job fair this Saturday, March 4th in Red Hook, Brooklyn. We're going to have over 30 employers, people like NYU Langone, FedEx, UPS, and a lot of other local companies that are really good employers and would like to hire locally. Also, because of meetings here, I've experienced this myself, and I've heard this many times in meetings here, where whenever it rains, you get water inside your basement. So on March 11th, we are going to be distributing free flood barriers at PS 69, starting at 10 a.m. And there's also information that you can find in the back. Again, we also have free tax prep Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and you can find information on those flyers as well. So again, thank you very much, and I applaud your dedication to the community, and thank you to CB10. Yes.
Cleaning up is great.
I'm sorry?
Cleaning up that corridor is great.
Yes.
But what are we doing to prevent this from happening? Because we're going to be getting a call next week that the dump is still going.
Yeah, they're there once a week. Sanitation is there once a week cleaning up. So I'm happy to take a tour with anyone on any given day. They're there once a week. Now, the other thing, thank you for bringing that up because it's very important, right? These cleanups, doing it once is not enough, right? We need to put pressure on these agencies to do their job, right? Their job is to clean, right? So they're there once a week. Now, we've been having issues with, there's two sides, right? The outside belongs to DSNY. The inside is MTA. Part of the MTA is run by the state, part of it is run by the city. So our challenge as an office has been that getting the MTA to clean the inside. If you walk by 8th Avenue and walk all along, there's tons of garbage. An interesting thing, and I have a picture on my phone, I'd love to show it to anyone that wants to see it. There are garbage bins, corner garbage bins, that people, I guess, threw inside. Right? There's 6 of them that I counted, and there's more that I couldn't see. So, but again, it takes you all to come and tell us about it so that we can advocate to the city agencies on your behalf. Yes. 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 So it's both sides. It's both sides. Yes. Right. So yeah. So we were there, and both sides are being. I was there on Friday morning, and we do these walks periodically just to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do. And at that moment, from my phone, I reached out to our contact at MTA and said, "Look, DSNY is doing their part. You all got to do yours." So again, please keep us informed. Let us know. You can't complain enough. Is the message, right? Complain, and we'll do our job on our end. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rob. And next, we wish to welcome from the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. Please welcome Anthony Carrion. Thank you. We got to meet you on Zoom.
Yeah. Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Anthony Carrion. I'm a community coordinator for the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. I'm sorry. Oh, so I cover the boroughs of Manhattan and the Bronx. I have to journey back home to the Bronx right after this, so forgive me if I step out a little early. I just wanted to introduce myself, just coming from an event here in Brooklyn, so I just thought I'd stop by and say hello in person. We've already been collaborating with Josephine in terms of doing presentations before your committees regarding some of our program lanes, such as the People's Money, participatory budgeting coming up, and some of our Get Out the Vote initiatives. So we just want to be more deliberate in our collaborations, and going forward, hope to see many of you on a more permanent basis. So it's nice to see you all in person. Get home safe from the storm, and keep warm. So thank you guys, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll conclude our public session. Can I have one of my techie people help me with this? It's up. Okay, we will try again. How's that? Is that a little better? We will. We will do our best. Once again, our public session is concluded. Thank you for that. And now, as we begin our chair's report, as was mentioned, our community did suffer during this past month. And we would like to ask you to just take a moment with us and let us pause for a moment in silence to remember the victims of the U-Haul rampage that happened through our neighborhood. We want to remember those victims and also their families who are also suffering. So if we could just take one moment. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we also, of course, wish to thank our NYPD who did respond as swiftly as possible. And we appreciate all of their efforts. I understand 2 of the officers from the 6-8 were actually honored during this past week for their swift action. So we thank them. Okay. And now I will go on to the chair's report. So this evening, I did want to continue to advocate for the voices of our community. If you live in this community or work in the community, that makes you a member of this community. And being a member of the community board is one way to play an active role in helping to shape our community. And this month, we are hearing about the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. And this was one of the ballot initiatives from the 2018 Charter Revision Commission, established the Civic Engagement Commission. Their job is to help get people involved. And of course, every citizen has the opportunity for involvement by voting. Unfortunately, it is a sad statistic that only about 1/3 of eligible voters exercise that right. This commission helps to develop plans to ensure access to voter registration, which can begin at our high schools, addressing the language access needs at voting sites, and participatory budgeting programs. Collaborating with community-based organizations and civic leaders, including our community board members, is how they can help us to increase civic engagement. Coming up March 6th to 10th, schools across New York City will be celebrating Civics Week. Civics education is an essential part of every student's core academic experience. The New York City Department of Education launched the Civics for All initiative to strengthen opportunities for students to develop skills and knowledge related to democracy. The goal is for all of our students to be engaged community members who can think critically and participate to chart the course that our city and country take. Civics for All helps support students in making connections between history, current events, and democracy. Civics Week is a time for schools to celebrate youth voice, civic empowerment, and the importance of registering to vote. Civics Week includes efforts to get every young person to understand that their voice matters and that they can create change as active participants of their community. This month, I'd like to encourage our board members to speak to the young people in your lives. Maybe they are family members or neighbors. Tell them about how you volunteer your time to your community board to help to connect our neighbors and issues in our neighborhood to the city agencies. Often our role is to offer feedback. While that might seem small to some, imagine if there was no feedback from community members at all. Now you can understand how our role can actually be mighty. Every young person and every grown-up needs to understand that their voice matters and that they can create change as active participants of their community. I encourage you all to share what you know to help our children aspire to be the next generation of board members. Thank you. Respectfully submitted. And now our district manager's report.
Thank you, Jane. Good evening, board members. I just want to start my report tonight by giving a shout out to Rob Aguilar for mentioning the cleanup efforts on 62nd Street from 8th to 14th Avenues, because for many, many years, Community Board had to really beg, borrow, fight, yell, scream, and not have the support. And as soon as Councilwoman Aviles was elected, one of the first issues that we spoke about in terms of needs was that 62nd Street corridor, and immediately she was able to direct resources there, really much needed, and for that community who was really impacted there. So thank you. During the month of February, the Army Corps of Engineers of New York and New Jersey hosted 2 virtual and in-person public meetings for the New York, New Jersey Harbor and Tributaries Coastal Storm Risk Management Feasibility Study. Special thanks to our board member and chair of the Environmental Committee, Tracy Britton, who attended the February 2nd public meeting, and I attended as well. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is investigating measures to manage future flood risk in ways that support the long-term resilience and sustainability of the coastal ecosystem and surrounding communities, and reduce the economic costs and risks associated with floods and storm events. In summary, the U.S. Army Corps is proposing a $52 billion, 14-year construction plan to build 12 floodgates across our waterways as part of this study. In August of 2022, after reviewing a number of alternative plans, the Army Corps selected Alternative 3B, which reduces 62.75% of risk in the study area, and they shared this plan was the best combination of measures that included barriers and flood walls and levees. It includes coastal barriers proposed in East Harlem, Lower Manhattan, Southern Brooklyn, and the entire Rockaway Peninsula to protect low-lying New York City and the surrounding areas from damage caused by future storm surges and flooding. The Army Corps is soliciting public feedback to this portion of the process through March 7th in order to refine their proposal. We had hoped to host a joint CB10 and 11 environmental committee meeting in advance of the March 7th deadline. But we were told by the Army Corps there will be additional comment periods in the future, and we do hope to schedule a future meeting. But in the interim, Community Board 10 will administratively share, for the record, CB10's capital priority advocacy for coastal flood mitigation measures to protect our coastline and valuable infrastructure, including the Owl's Head wastewater treatment plant within our district and our CSO's combined sewer outfalls that lie along the shore. Moving on, last week I joined interns from the Bay Ridge Center to go out and survey bus commuters in the afternoon on the proposed Brooklyn bus redesign. We heard from many seniors from the Bay Ridge Center about specific bus stops in the proposal that were proposed to be eliminated, including 4th Avenue and 65th Street, which serves many seniors. And as you know, the Bay Ridge Towers is home to over 800 families. And that bus stop is vital. Also, we went out to Bay Ridge Avenue from 4th Avenue to Shore Road. So I want to share with the board that I did learn a lot by going out in the field and speaking to commuters who utilize these bus stops regularly. There were several commuters waiting for the bus stop at 4th Avenue and 65th Street. All were non-English speaking. Our surveys are available in multiple languages and will provide feedback to understand the impact of the elimination of proposed bus stops for many commuters, especially those most vulnerable, our seniors, as well as our non-English speaking residents who may not have an opportunity to communicate the impacts of the plan. Community Board 10's Traffic and Transportation Committee will be putting comments together for board review at its March committee meeting, which is on this Thursday, March 2nd, and for review by the full board at our March General Board meeting on March 20th. Last week, I joined many Community Board 10 members at the groundbreaking of the new Bay Ridge Center, which is being built at 15 Bay Ridge Avenue, right off of Shore Road, and the center plans to be open by the fall of 2023. Looking ahead, the district office is planning several important meetings, including a presentation by the fire department on lithium batteries, which will take place on Monday, March 13th at the Police and Public Safety Committee. This meeting was set up following a horrific fire in Community Board 10 at an e-bike shop on 11th Avenue, right across the street from Scotoro's on 64th Street. We received many calls in the last few months, people concerned about lithium batteries and safety. So we're happy to host the fire department and we'll encourage all to attend. Also, the Traffic and Transportation Committee will have a presentation on the BQE, and our Parks Committee is planning a park meet and greet and cleanup with the Bay Ridge Environmental Group, Daniel Loud, who is the leader there, on May 20th, so please be sure to save that date, and I will be sending that out to board members as well. And just some brief announcements. The Department of Sanitation is changing the set out times for your trash. So make sure you're aware of this. These changes go into effect on April 1st. The new rule to reduce the time that trash, recycling, and curbside composting, when it goes back into effect, will sit on sidewalks. Residential buildings will have two options to place waste out after 6 p.m. in a container of 55 gallons or less with a secure lid. Or if you put your trash out by using hefty black bags, they can go out on the curb after 8 p.m. So this will ensure that collection of all waste will be set out by midnight. Summer youth employment applications are now open, so if you have young teenagers who are interested in working this summer, the deadline to apply is available online through March 31st. And the Sunset Ridge Affordable Senior Housing application deadline is March 17th. The Bay Ridge St. Patrick's Day Parade will take place on Sunday, March 26th from 1 to 4 p.m. And our next general board meeting is right here in this room, hopefully, on Monday, March 20th at 7 p.m. Thank you, and respectfully submitted. Jane?
Thank you so much. Next, we will go on to our treasurer's report. Please welcome Shirley Chin.
Thank you, Jane. Good evening, everyone. Treasurer's report as of January 31st, 2023. Total personal services, we have 126,877. Total other than personal services, we have $3,746.61, leaving an unencumbered budget balance of $136,967.39. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next we will move on to our public hearing. Please welcome Diane Gennardis to speak to us about the design plan for the McKinley Park playground renovation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Okay. The Parks Committee met on February 2nd at 7 p.m. and we met in quorum. And we had two things on our agenda, and so I'm going to the second thing first for this presentation. A presentation was made by members of the New York City Parks Department. James Morris introduced us to Rita Colhole, who was the designer of the plans to renovate and update McKinley Park, a 1.1 acre parcel located between 74th and 75th Streets and between 7th Avenue and Fort Hamilton Parkway. It is in close proximity to schools and churches and multifamily houses. Councilman Justin Brannan allocated $5 million to upgrade the active play capacity for the park and the neighborhood, to facilitate passive use and community events, and to enhance and add to the environmental amenities of the site. Last May, in 2022, the Parks Committee and the general public were invited to a virtual input meeting where we offered suggestions on how the park should be redesigned. The presentation offered the initial design created by the suggestions of the participants. It must be noted that this project does not include renovation of the basketball courts or the comfort stations. The new design calls for surface and equipment replacement of the outdated facilities. A new ADA-compliant ramp will be installed to enter the park off of 7th Avenue. The current entrance to the park in the middle of the block at Fort Hamilton Parkway is to be closed off, and only two entrances on the corners of 7th Avenue and Fort Hamilton Parkway will be open. Because of the beautiful mature trees throughout the park, this site is considered a legacy park. However, two trees that cannot be saved will be removed. Additional trees will be planted as well. There will be two areas with gym equipment, one for younger children and one for older children. These gym structures offer sensory activities and nature colors on their panels. There will be one ADA-compliant swing in each of the two swing areas, which will each have 4 bays with 2 swings each. The spray shower will be relocated to an area that will not interfere with pedestrian traffic. This spray shower will include in-ground showers as well as an overhead shower. The bocce courts will be removed and replaced by grass. These courts are no longer used for their intended purpose and have become filled with illegal dumping of garbage, like TVs, tires, refrigerators, and that all requires special equipment to be removed. The tree pits and the sidewalks on Bay Ridge Parkway will be reconstructed. There will be a drinking fountain with a bottle filler. There will be 2 rain gardens to collect rainwaters. Natural perennial plant palettes will be placed in the rain gardens. Increasing the green areas helps make this a more sustainable park. A suggestion was made to include pollinator plants in this area as well. The benches placed around the park will be those with cutout ends to facilitate individuals in wheelchairs. The fitness area will be totally renovated with exciting equipment and new cement. A request was made to provide us with a more realistic rendering of the gym equipment. Questions regarding providing a regular dog run in the park were answered by reminding us that a well-constructed dog run requires a good amount of funding and that it was not included in the funding of this particular project. The timeline of this project is as follows. The design phase is from May of 2022 to May of 2023. The procurement phase is from May of 2023 to May of 2024. The construction phase from May of 2024 to May of 2025. The park would be closed during the construction phase. A motion was made by committee member Jack Zhang and seconded by committee member Leo Dan Castillo to send a letter to the New York City Parks Department to proceed with the design presented to us at this meeting. The motion carried unanimously. This recommendation will be brought to the community board at large at our next meeting. Subsequent to the committee meeting, some residents who participated via the Zoom meeting sent in comments regarding the proposal put forth. And in addition, District Manager Josephine Beckman and I contacted James Morris from the Parks Department to discuss the proposed closure of the Fort Hamilton Parkway entrance at 73rd Street. We voiced our concerns about this closure, and Mr. Morris advised us that they would take another look at this part of the proposal. Just so that you know, the entrance that they want to close, they said that there are no crosswalks in that vicinity and that it would make it very dangerous for people crossing the street to go into the park. It's right across the street from McKinley and from the pre-K center at St. Ephraim's. However, there are, in fact, 2 crosswalks there and a light. And so they kind of missed the boat on that. So anyway, that was our discussion. So we did meet in quorum. We have a recommendation. Yes. The brick structure right now will remain. That's the comfort station. And so they're not touching that. It is, but
it's on our priority list too.
any other discussion? Okay. Then
So we are ready then, so we're ready for a vote, please. So then we have to just go right to it with all in favor. Wonderful. We had a quorum, we don't have any other questions. So all in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Any recusals? Thank you, the motion carries.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Should I remain for the next?
Yes, and now
Okay, well.
now you're part 2.
Now my part 2. That should have been part 1. Okay. This part of the committee meeting, we met with the Nature Conservancy. And Emily Maxwell, director of the Nature Conservancy, spoke about this global organization whose mission is to conserve the lands and waters on which all life depends. They have been in New York City for 10 years. Ms. Maxwell reminded us of the New York City Urban Forest Agenda, an initiative endorsed last year by all the borough presidents of New York City to plant an additional 1 million more trees. She explained the importance of providing canopy cover to combat the effects of climate change. It is anticipated that by the 2050s to the 2080s, we will see 3 to 5 times more extreme heat events and 1.5 more precipitation events, which will cause significant flooding as well as sea rising. Extreme heat is the number one weather-related killer in the United States. Creating more canopy cover supports increased vegetation, which result in a cooler environment. Increasing urban forests benefit the community by managing air pollution, encouraging children and adults to spend more time outside to keep them active and physically fit, and encourage them to socialize, reducing stress, storing tons of carbon, and decreasing temperatures. It also provides habitats and refuge for a variety of wildlife and plant species. Forest for All New York City is a coalition of more than 50 organizations whose vision is to provide a healthy, biodiverse, robust, accessible, well understood, and resilient urban forest that justly and equitably delivers its multiple benefits to all New York residents. Their goal is to expand canopy cover by 30% by the year 2035. Closer to home, we have a good amount of canopy cover in Community Board 10, and we advocate additional plantings when we can. In fact, from 2010 to 2017, our canopy coverage increased by 3% for a total of 21% in the neighborhood. This is, of course, the potential. There is, of course, the potential to expand even more. It is important to advocate not only for new plantings, but to also request larger budgets for the Parks Department and Forest Department in order to maintain existing and new trees. Ms. Maxwell ended her presentation with a request that our community board adopt a resolution in support of growth and maintenance of the urban forest and of the New York City urban forest agenda. She will be sending along a draft of the resolution which we can tailor to address our specific needs and concerns. And so there being no other business, our committee meeting was adjourned at 8:25.
Oh, we.
Yeah. You say it's $5 million?
$5 million. Correct.
Okay. If I take you back 5 years ago, we spent $4 million to renovate the bathroom on the other side. And now $5 million to do all that work? You remember that, Josephine?
Not McKinley.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
$4 million to do the bathrooms and $5 million to do all that work you just mentioned?
That's what it is.
It does not,
Yeah.
it did not compute.
Yeah.
It doesn't compute.
Yeah. Dan had a thought.
Oh, yeah, plumbing. Plumbing is killer.
Yeah, but the plumbing is there, just to renovate the building for $4 million. That's what they did. They didn't do any plumbing. Am I correct?
Yeah.
My number is correct, right?
You're all correct.
Yes.
Yes. You're talking about 96th Street, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
$4 million just to renovate the building, not the plumbing. There was no plumbing involved. Because I was there and we saw it all.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Everything with the Parks Department is cumbersome. I mean, a year to procure materials.
It's a long process by the time you
But
get your
it's also-
subcontractors.
They're working on parks all over the city at the same time. It's not like they're focused on this one. So I'm sure they're not just procuring for one park at a time. So they lay out a one-year timeline, so if they need bricks, they're getting all the bricks, you know. But, I mean, my nephew works for the Parks Department, it's impossible for them too. I mean, they just kind of have to accept what it is, but it's just craziness. I mean, they should be able to do this in a year. It shouldn't take 3 years, but that's the way it is.
From my experience, at any time that we have entertained a proposal from the Parks Department, it is always the same kind of timeline. A year to design, a year to procure, and a year to construct. So,
Nuts, but it is what it is.
and we'll be lucky if they
we're not
do it
special.
on time.
You know, we're not special. Everyone's dealing with it all over the city.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. And next we will move on to our Senior Issues, Housing, Health, and Welfare Committee. Please welcome Jonna Tubing.
Hi, everyone. So the Senior Issues, Housing, Health, and Welfare Committee of CB10 met in quorum for a meeting via Zoom on Monday, January 30th, 2023 at 7 o'clock p.m. The meeting was also live streamed on YouTube for those who could not access it via Zoom. This was an informational meeting with a representative from the Healing Center presenting a program that provides assistance to victims of sexual assault named Project Hope Bethsaida. Next, there was an update on the progress of the new location of the Bay Ridge Center being 15 Bay Ridge Avenue with their executive director, Todd Flidner. The presentation from the Healing Center was given by Stephanie Rovine, a sexual assault victim advocate with Maria Santiago, an elder justice advocate. To begin, the Healing Center has been an active not-for-profit organization for 22 years, and they have a new sexual assault program. The program provides a plethora of resources, including court accompaniment, police assistance, and legal and immigrant services. Please note the presentation is focused on a sensitive topic, and although there will be no depiction of scenes of violence, I will now discuss the details given on the topic of sexual assault. First off, speaking about sexual assault is a very difficult topic because it makes many individuals feel uncomfortable. However, knowledge is protective, and recognizing the problem is the first step to solving it. Sexual assault includes two elements: sexual contact and lack of consent. For the sake of clarity, consent is freely given, enthusiastic, specific, informed, and reversible. About 46.8% of women report sexual assault in their lifetimes, as well as 24.8% of men reporting sexual assault in their lifetimes. Sexual abuse of children is also extremely common, with 1 out of 4 girls having experienced it and 1 out of 13 boys having experienced it. Remember, children can never consent. Signs of abuse in children can include, but are not limited to, scratches, scrapes, or bruises in the genital and or rectal regions, changes in toilet habits, and even drawings with sexual, aggressive, or morbid themes. Sexual abuse among older adults is also occurs, especially as they are at increased risk of physical frailty and cognitive decline. Perpetrators against older adults are typically younger and in better condition. Signs of abuse among older adults can include, but are not limited to, STDs, scrapes, blood, changes in behavior, and report of abuse. After such experiences, individuals may feel overwhelmed, disconnected from their own bodies and surroundings, experience a lack of emotion, and be confused. If someone you know has experienced such a thing, after seeking professional help, it is important to remember to help them create a sense of choice and have them feel safe in the present. Somatic healing has also been shown to help. Making these conversations happen and giving presentations is extremely important to reduce the stigma and occurrence of sexual assault. If you would like to reach out to the Healing Center, you can email them at srovine@thehealingcenterny.org. In the second half of our meeting, the executive director of the Bay Ridge Center, Todd Flidner, gave us an update on the progress of the new location at 15 Bay Ridge Avenue with many wonderful additional resources. The Bay Ridge Center has been around since 1976 and since then has only grown. In fact, the community is projected to continue to increase, as it is estimated that South Brooklyn will house the largest elderly population by 2030, making the need for such spaces incredibly important. The center has been successful thus far, with resources for the elderly being provided, including 650 Meals on Wheels serviced a day. The new center, located at 15 Bay Ridge Avenue, was awarded a new contract from the NYC Department for the Aging to scale up its services, with the service capacity increasing by 300%. They are currently renovating a 2-story, 21,000 square foot facility located at 15 Bay Ridge Avenue, with an anticipated opening after build out being mid-2023. The center is a respectful and dignified safe space for all older adults, with many resources, including a spacious dining room/cafe, dedicated fitness studio with advanced exercise equipment designed for older adults, classroom for arts, education, music, and performance classes, private offices for case management and counseling, and includes a quiet space. The center aims to serve underserved communities with diverse multicultural programming with sensitivity to religious and cultural mores, including programming for older adults with special needs. The center's design elements include a charging station for hybrid and electric vehicles to prepare for the update for their transportation services, solar paneling, uniquely designed outdoor space, state-of-the-art HVAC filtration, sprung flooring, private gated parking for the center's cars, is handicap accessible, and is ADA compliant. An individual with a membership at any older center can utilize the new center, and the center is hoping to open the new facility to the elderly by September of 2023. They are currently speaking to physical therapists to also bring this service to the center. If you have any questions, please reach out to the center. Their information can all be found on their website at bayridgecenter.org. With all this being said, the meeting was brought to an end at about 8 o'clock p.m. Respectfully submitted, Jana Toby.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And next we will move on to our Joint Communications and Public Relations Committee and Youth Services, Education and Libraries Committee report brought to us by Henry Stewart. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. So the Communications and Youth Services, Education and Libraries Committees met jointly on February 15th, 2023. Present were community engagement specialists from the City Civic Engagement Commission, which presented an introduction to the group and what it does. The CEC was established by ballot initiative in 2018 through a change to the city's charter. It's the first democratically elected commission responsible for restoring civic trust and strengthening democracy by promoting inclusive civic participation by all New Yorkers. They do this through 4 programs: Democracy NYC, Poll Site Language Assistant, a participatory budgeting process known as the People's Money, and community partnerships and education. In New York City, there are about 5.2 million registered voters, and in the last general election, about 35% of them voted. So Democracy NYC works to increase voter participation through registration, education, and advocating for reforms. Voter resources include Find Your Polling Site, voting by mail, voter registration, checking your registration status, and voters' rights. There are more than 700 languages spoken in New York City, the most linguistically diverse city in the world and world history. Almost half of New Yorkers speak a language other than English at home, and that's why in New York City there's a right to vote in your language and to bring an interpreter to the voting booth. The CEC supplements access to interpreters at select polling sites in Arabic, Bengali, Chinese, French, Haitian Creole, Italian, Korean, Polish, Russian, Urdu, and Yiddish. This is in addition to the Board of Elections interpreters. The People's Money is a citywide participatory budgeting program that awards $5 million of the mayor's expense funds annually across the 5 boroughs. It is distinct from the City Council's participatory budgeting program, which is locally focused only on capital projects. All New Yorkers age 11 and older are able to decide how the money is spent on local community projects across the city. It does not matter your immigration or incarceration status. Elections will be held in May and June, and you can vote by setting up an account at participate.nyc.gov. The CEC also programs and partners with other city agencies and local organizations to increase awareness, access to city services, and education through civic workshops such as Civics 101 and Voting 101. It's also forming a community-based coalition of local organizations, the People's Coalition, and you can partner them by emailing info@civicengagement.nyc.gov. A lot of funding goes to the same community-based organizations, and smaller ones don't always get the same opportunities. The CEC can help them identify funding opportunities earlier. The CEC wants to promote the People's Money program as well as the upcoming city council elections. It is reaching out to community boards and school district offices. In March, it will focus on introducing the commission to the public. In April, it will focus on participatory budgeting workshops. And in May, in ranked choice voting workshops in the lead up to the elections to get the word out through organizations such as our own. Terry Brennan emphasized how important poll site interpreters are. She said her poll site has Spanish and Chinese interpreters if they're lucky. CD10 has a large Arab American population, but no Arabic ballots or translators. She has sometimes co-opted voters to translate Arabic or French. She asked if the CEC could creatively address this, as well as the fact that poll sites are often understaffed. Person from the CEC said that the commission has a grant from NYC Service to unroll a volunteer program. The volunteers will be used for tabling and canvassing, but they could prioritize volunteers with Arabic or other language skills in certain areas. They also said, they've had their own experience with polling site translators. CEC is new, but its impact will grow with time. Right now, it's identifying community members with language skills that can volunteer and also help raise awareness of community needs, which can get more funding allocated. They also said at the end of their workshop, such as Voting 101, maybe they can promote information about paid positions at polling sites, as well as at tabling events. Josephine asked how the district office could be helpful. The district office can promote CEC events, programs, and outreach initiatives in the newsletter and at future meetings. They said they don't want CEC to be a nuisance, but to be a constant presence at the community board, providing updates during the public session, which they did tonight, and inviting us to workshops on ranked choice voting and participatory budgeting. Josephine said the district office provides voter registration forms and has posted banners in multiple languages and has asked for forms in multiple languages. During the last election cycle, the office distributed more than 100. In the presidential election year, even more. And she said the office has gone through a whole case of forms. And at the time of the meeting, they were out of forms. So yeah, they're just eager to collaborate with us. And there being no more questions or comments, a motion was made to adjourn.
Just for the record, the Arab American Association is willing to give the translator. We offered our services. I just voted for the record that I'm too old to stand up. It's fine. It's for the record, the Arab American Association is willing to give translators. We have approached the authorities. I think if Justin was here, we went through the offices. So if you need us, I will give you a card. Please get in touch with the Arab American Associations. We have about 200 volunteers. They speak very good English, French, Spanish, and Arabic.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that generous opportunity. Thank you. Next, we will go on to our Traffic and Transportation Committee report, which will be given this evening by Stephanie Mahaney for our acting chair, Doris Cruz, who could not be here this evening. So thank you. Please welcome Stephanie.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Is this good? Okay. Again, I am delivering this report on behalf of Doris Cruz. On February 9th, the MTA hosted a bus network redesign forum for Southwest Brooklyn. Many CB10 members and local residents were in attendance. District Manager Beckman has summarized the comments in a PowerPoint presentation. The MTA said that they were limiting comments to 30 seconds. I identified myself as a representative of CB10, and they afforded me more time. I focused on the comments from previous traffic and transportation meetings on the redesign. Committee members in attendance were concerned about the removal of bus stops on the B37, or 3rd Avenue bus, at 90th and 91st Streets in both directions. These stops service Foodtown, and their removal is not warranted. Committee members in attendance were concerned about removal of the B16 stop at 90th Street and Shore Road. This stop services Shore Hill residents and residents of many multiple dwellings in the area. Committee members in attendance were concerned about the rerouting of the B64 west of 3rd Avenue. The B64 would be rerouted to provide access to NYU Lutheran. However, removal of access to Shore Road via Bay Ridge Avenue would limit access to high schools and to local parks. And most importantly, it would limit access to the new Bay Ridge Center at Bay Ridge Avenue and Narrows Avenue. The MTA was unaware of the new Bay Ridge Center location. I suggested that the B4 bus terminate at Shore Road, not on Narrows Avenue. The MTA indicated that they would look at this possibility. Committee members in attendance were concerned about the many changes to the express bus service. The MTA does not seem to realize how important midday service is to area residents and how inaccessible other mass transit options are to residents of the Shore Road area. And it was noted by many that the express bus is the only handicap accessible option for many riders. One local resident very clearly described that lack of access to mass transit for residents of the Shore Road area. He also demonstrated the need for buses to service all of Shore Road. I also mentioned that the removal of the express bus stop at 88th and Shore Road would be detrimental. This is an area with many multiple dwellings and, again, very poor access to mass transit. I noted that CB10 is fortunate to have many parks and that all should have mass transit access. CB10 is the terminus of the line for all of the buses that serve the community. Most of the delays in bus service is on service into CB10, not leaving CB10. I recommended to the MTA that they work at clearing bus stops of illegally parked vehicles at bus stops. The MTA plans to do community outreach at 2 locations, 92nd Street and Fort Hamilton Parkway, and at 86th Street and 4th Avenue. This is inadequate. I recommended that they include 86th Street and 5th Avenue and 92nd Street and 5th Avenue during the evening rush. I also recommended outreach at Shore Road between 3rd and 4th Avenues and at 88th Street and Shore Road. I encourage everyone to attend CB10's March 2nd meeting. Respectfully submitted, Doris Ann Cruz, Acting Chair, Traffic and Transportation Committee.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And now, is there any old business? Do we have any new business to be brought? Yes.
As you know, the holy month of Ramadan is approaching, so we will be celebrating a lot of food will be at the street, Fifth Avenue, mostly from Baladi, I'm sure, the mosque, the Arab American Association. So please make sure you visit us. It's a new experience for a lot of us to get acquainted and to know what is going on during the month of Ramadan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have another? Yes, more new business? Yes.
It's a very new business. After, you hear me now? On your mouth. No, you asked, the board asked for my own comments about this whole bus relocating all the bus stops. And to me, I just experienced public transportation is a utility, which means the more you have it available for people, they're going to use it. And especially with, as we know, the elderly population in the neighborhood. Yeah, it's really not. It's really out of. It goes against sense to make them walk further, especially on Shore Road. And I mean, I don't know what they. As I said, they're just shooting themselves in the foot by doing this. And you get an example. I'll give you an example of. This is the transit authority eliminating outlets to their services. Or I'll give you an example of Jamaica Queens. For many years, I remember that was a very bustling neighborhood. Big shop. It was the 4th largest shopping district in the whole country. And lo and behold, the business community wanted to get rid of that horrible elevated train that went down Jamaica Avenue. So in 1977, the line was closed, and even though I heard the transit authority actually didn't want to close it, but the business forces said, "Oh, let's get rid of that horrible L. Oh, and make the area bloom again." Well, I don't know. My experience, I remember that was a very busy area in the 1960s. That area just petered out really by the 1970s, the end of the 70s when they closed the L down. And this is, again, another example of the transit authority shooting itself in the foot. It's supposed to be a transportation agency, and here we are limiting bus stops so people can get to the buses. It just doesn't make any sense. That was my comment on that.
Thank you. I see we have another comment.
Hi, I'm Terry Brennan. This is a plea. If you have the availability, please consider becoming a poll worker. I'm the coordinator at Fort Hamilton High School on Election Day. My coverage sheet will have 22 to 25 positions. They staff me with about 10 or 11 people. We have 2 entrances, we have a ramp, we have an elevator. During early voting, there'll be 10 people covering outside, stationed down at Shore Road by all the gates. I have 1 person to do all of that, including operate the elevator. I often don't have a translator, so it's great if you can provide them, but also understand the Board of Elections only sanctions certain translators to be in the room. Anybody else has to be outside the room. My staff basically just bounces from position to position to cover each other so that somebody can actually take a dinner break. I basically don't take a break because I fill in to cover. Early voting is easier. You get paid, the state has to change it. It's the same rate of pay regardless of the number of hours. So if you work an 11-hour day, you get paid the same as if you work 17 hours. So a lot of people sign up for early voting and then not show up on election day. It's a long day, and I wasn't really sure when I first went into it. It's incredibly gratifying to help people vote. It's just meaningful. Whether somebody is 85 and making their way in however they can, or whether they're a newly minted 18-year-old, or whether they're somebody who just got their citizenship. So you can sign up through the Board of Elections website. You do have to go for training. You get paid for the training if you work the election. But it's a long grind, but it's meaningful. And I get really excited. Frankly, my favorites are naturalized citizens who are voting for the first time, particularly if they came from a country where maybe they didn't have the same rights. And we always celebrate them a little bit. And so if you want to do some good, if you can afford the time, please do it. It just really makes a difference. Democracy is messy, but this is how it works, and it's the system we have, so let's keep it going. Okay. You can apply
Thank
online.
you.
And it's I started doing it. I went in for the primary is in June, and then the election is in November. Last year we had multiple primaries and multiple elections, but I first went in because I went to, nobody knows what table they're supposed to go to, right? When you vote, you can't remember what your district is or whatever. And I went to a table, and she said, "Oh, I don't have you in the book." That's when we still had the books. "So you're going to have to go down to Adams Street." I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go over to this table and see if maybe they have me. And they did. And I thought, yeah, there's got to be a better way. So it is a long day. On election day, it's 5 a.m. to at least 10 by the time you close everything down. You get 2-hour breaks. It's easier during early voting, but early voting, because we're the only site in South Brooklyn, they bring people in from all over the city because they're trying to employ, all the regular poll workers. But there's usually a standby pool. We get a message at like 6 a.m. on election day that the standby pool has already been depleted. So there's literally nobody to fill in for the no-shows. There's nobody to fill in the holes. It's really, and it's awful. And I'm lucky that I have a lot of returning people who are dedicated, who I know will show up, and who are like, yeah, it's okay. I'll cover for him while he goes to dinner. But it just shouldn't be that brutal. It's already, a 16, 17-hour day. You shouldn't also have to. So anyway, there's no guarantee you get assigned to Fort Hamilton, but you usually do get assigned within your district because of people commuting at 4 o'clock in the morning. But if you can do it, if you can take Tuesday off if you have a job, or if I'm self-employed, so I just finagle my schedule. But I don't know. It's a really good thing. I think at the end of the day, you're tired, but you feel satisfied. So,
Well, thank you. As we've been talking about civic engagement and Civics Week, that was a wonderful thing to share. So thank you for that. Thank you. Is there any other new business? Okay, then it's time for that very special motion to adjourn. Do I have, oh, yes, I see, and seconded. All in favor. We will see you next month. Thank you.